So, Julie, welcome to the Crypto Princess show. How are you today?
I am so good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh my God, this is like so long overdue. We've known each other for a
I know.
while, but
I
we've just
know.
not connected. Oh my
I know.
God. And a lot of our mod squad, they all know each other as well.
They do. Yes, they do. I love them. They honestly, as soon as I started the show and live streaming, they found me almost right away. And so they're my crew. And so now I'm like, whoever they mod for, I just go around to their shows and I see you guys pop in mine. I love how everybody supports each other.
Awesome. So, Julie, the resident question that I always ask everyone who comes onto the show
Mhm.
is if I was to meet you in high school, what kind of person were you?
Oh, yeah. So in high school, I mean, I was fairly popular. I had a decent group of friends by like the start of my sophomore year and stayed with them all through high school. I'm still friends with them today. But yeah, I definitely value friendship. But I've always tried to get along with everyone. I don't like fighting, although I'm not afraid to do that if I have to.
Oh, bless you. Okay, so I understand you got into crypto in 2020.
Mhm.
So if we go back to 2020, 2020, 2019, sorry,
Mhm.
2020 was a halving year.
Yeah.
We had the pandemic as well. We had a
Mhm.
massive correction in March 2020,
Mhm.
where Bitcoin fell 63%.
Mhm.
There was a lot of printing in 2020. There was almost a V-shaped recovery.
Mhm.
But like I said, it was a pandemic. A lot of people were dying. There was a lot of uncertainty anywhere. People
Mhm.
were losing their jobs. We
Mhm.
didn't really know what was going on. This was the year that you entered into crypto. Tell me about that. How did you get into crypto?
Well, I knew about Bitcoin forever. My older brother was actually into Bitcoin early, was telling everyone about it, but didn't tell anyone really how to buy it. He just would talk about it and talk about, decentralized finance and, peer to peer and, how to cut out the middleman. And, he experienced the collapse in '08 or must have been '06, '07. When that happened, the banks wouldn't give him his money. And so that's really what pushed him into Bitcoin was he had to show up at the bank 3 days in a row demanding his money. And the manager finally, after day 3 of him being there every morning when the bank opened demanding his money, the manager gave him his money. And it was just his paycheck that got wired to his bank account. But because it went to the bank and the bank didn't have money, he couldn't withdraw money. So it showed the balance, but they wouldn't give him any fiat. And so that really, once he found out about Bitcoin, he was in it very early. But he passed away, it'll be 12
Mm.
years in January. And so I always knew what Bitcoin was, but didn't know how to do it. And then I had an aha light bulb moment with Robinhood during the pandemic of, you know what? I think I could buy it on this app and I can just download it on my phone. And that really opened up the whole world of crypto for me was when I downloaded Robinhood during the pandemic.
Mhm, mhm. And what
So
were you doing? Were you working at the time?
I was in solar. I had a career in solar as a data analyst for the last 6 years in solar, but was in solar for 12 years total. So I've been heavy on the numbers side for, close to 10 years now.
Mhm. And what about friends and family? What do they think when you just told them that you were going to get into crypto, buy some crypto?
So my mom was very supportive. She was actually watching Charles Hoskinson, his live streams, and I remember watching it and I was like, man, he's just so smart and none of this makes any sense. And, but my mom, I feel like she kind of had an understanding of it a little more at first than I did. Whereas like I downloaded the app and kind of started to like actually play with, oh, this is how you do it. um but really what ended up spawning my love for crypto was my daughter got sick in 2020. And when I mean sick, I mean she had like swelling of the brain. It's called encephalitis, and it manifested as seizures. And so while we were in and out of the hospital trying to get her well, I ended up into crypto, found Discord, downloaded Discord, ended up in a couple NFT communities. And while my whole world kind of felt like it was collapsing in and I was stuck in this hospital during a pandemic, I couldn't leave her side. No other family could come into the hospital to help because of the weird COVID restrictions. My phone and Discord, like crypto, gave me this sense of feeling a part of normalcy while everything was just crashing in on my world. So
Gosh. How is she now?
she's tons better. So she just finished her freshman year of high school. She was on the JV swim team. She's on still a lot of medication, and she does still have some like light seizures occasionally when she gets ill or if she's just not feeling well. But overall, she's doing great. So I am so thankful that
Mhm.
she's been able to live somewhat of a normal life since then.
So I'm British. What's freshman years at?
That's year 10. Oh wait, no, year
Okay.
9. Year 9. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you've got junior high, yeah, and then year 9, which would be middle school. So yeah, so freshman year is year 9. So she'll be going into her 10th year this year. So, and she's planning to continue swimming, and she thinks she might want to try wrestling. So she's a strong girl, so I'm excited for her to, give it a try.
Awesome. Okay, jolly good. Um, so who helped you? So I know you were in the hospital. It was
Mhm.
COVID time. You found an online community. You found Discord.
Mhm.
Apart from Discord, did anyone help you in real life?
No. No. I basically just no, I fafoed, if you will, and spent a ton of money just from like sending money from one wallet to another and not really knowing what was what. I
Mhm.
remember like opening a Loop Ring wallet, and then I had a Loop Ring wallet, and then I was doing stuff on Loop Ring, and Hedera, I had a Hedera wallet. Like at one point I was just like on every chain, trying everything, putting a little money here, and just trying to figure out how stuff worked. So it was really just a process and I remember my brain would just hurt. I would sit on the couch and I would be like, I know what I want it to do, and I can't figure out why it's not doing it. And then eventually I would just try enough, and I would get it to do what I needed it to. So, but yeah, there's so much to it. I do have friends who are helping me even still today, like more of the hardware side. Just now kind of getting into more of the hardware stuff. And so I have friends that are helping me with that. So, because
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
lot. Crypto,
Oh,
it's
it
so
is.
expansive.
It is. Okay, jolly good. So let's talk about NFTs because you
Mhm,
mentioned NFTs.
mhm,
So for those people who are unaware, an NFT is a product of blockchain technology. It's a piece of code
mhm,
that lives on the blockchain and it proves ownership of an item. Now, most people do associate NFTs with images, but they truly can be anything,
mhm,
including deeds to a house.
mhm,
So you started to delve into NFTs in
mhm.
2020, or did that come a bit later?
No, I jumped into NFTs. I think so. I opened Twitter in December of 2020, and then probably summer of 21, I found crypto Twitter, and that was when I
Mhm.
started seeing all the NFT, the JPEGs, and that was when I more or less went, "Oh, I think I want an NFT," because I started to see that as a way to accumulate more crypto by just holding the JPEG. Now, very naive in your first time in crypto. I held pretty much everything to zero, but I did get really good at trading them more or less. I think I just posted last week about the feet pics, the pixelated feet. Oh my gosh, I think I traded like 18 pairs of feet. And I will never forget when I got the bare toes in the grass. So excited. I wanted that pair so bad. But it
There's
was just
something else,
it's
Julie.
just so silly. It's just silly. But it, with crypto, there's certain things in crypto culture that will do
Hmm.
well. Like
Hmm.
Pepe the Frog, very synonymous with crypto culture. The Shiba Inu dog, very synonymous with crypto culture. Well, crypto people, crypto guys, they love feet. So when they came out with these feet, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a hit. And it was. And then after the feet, they started doing all the other body parts, hands, you name it, booties. Like, I remember it was such a weird time in crypto when all that was coming out. But yeah, I was late to the Bored Ape. So I was degenning on feet pics.
Hmm. I actually missed the Bored Ape as well. I knew when it was going to be released, but I didn't think
Yeah.
too much of it.
Hmm.
Okay, let's talk about 2021.
Hmm.
So 2021 was the third bull run in Bitcoin's
Hmm.
history. It was a double top. So we started the year around about 30,000 US dollars. We went
Hmm.
up to 64,000 US
Yes.
dollars in April 2021. The
Hmm.
Pi cycle top was hit then, but we also had the China FUD. The China FUD led to Bitcoin falling 50% in the
Yeah.
middle of the bull
The
run
bull run.
year,
Mhm.
and it hovered and just went sideways for a good couple of months. Bitcoin was taken off the exchanges, and the supply shock led to us
Mhm.
going up and actually making the all-time high in
Right.
November 2021. And then we had the SEC come in. They were issuing Wells notices to cryptocurrency exchanges and projects. And naturally, it was the end of the 4-year cycle. That was your first bull run.
Mhm.
Tell me about that.
So, while I had some really great plays and I had some plays that I ran to zero. And so heavily into NFTs, but I did mint Jack Butcher's Opepin. I got 2 of those. I got some other ones that did really well. I think I minted a rare of this. It was like it was supposed to be like a on-chain record label, and I minted one of the gold or whatever the gold records were, which was like a with the top. I minted the rare, and of that, like as soon as I minted it, I just immediately sold it and made like an ETH off of that one. And then my best crypto trade was actually on Dogecoin. And that one was actually on Robinhood. And so this is really was a pivotal moment for me in crypto because it was such a significant trade and because of what happened during it. So because I could tell Elon Musk was having such an impact with his tweets, and all of the culture on X was really just following him. Of course, it was Twitter at the time. He didn't own it at the time, but everybody just loved Elon. And so he would tweet about Doge and the price would go crazy. So I'm like, you know what? Something's happening here. I waited for a good entry price. Got in around, I want to say my average was around 11 cents. And then I had done enough kind of trading on Robinhood's platform in terms of like trading in and out of the Apple stock, trading in and out of the Tesla stock. So I knew and kind of understood the fundamentals of like buy the rumor, sell the news. And
Mhm.
so with Doge, I got in at around 11 cents, and then was on that. And then I could tell Saturday Night Live was coming and all of the promotions for Saturday Night Live and all of this hype was coming. And as that was getting ready to peak, I had sold into that. I think actually there was a few times I had traded into it. But when I went to when I went to do the sell button would not execute. And so I'm like, my trade had gone all the way up to 13,000. And I'm like going, sell, sell, sell. And my phone, the button would just not press. Like the app
Mhm.
was just totally locked out of doing any sell executions. And so I'm sitting here pushing sell and I'm watching my number tick down and I'm like trying to exit the play. So by the time I finally exit, I think I was around 11.5. So in my mind, I had lost 2K and I was so upset at Robinhood. I was like, this
Mhm.
app, and because there was already a little bit of uncertainty about like the insolvency of the company, whether they were holding on to customer funds adequately. There was other platforms that were going under, so there was some questions about Robinhood. And then of course they did the do you remember the famous interview they had with Vlad, and he looked like Roaring Kitty, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, this is the Robinhood guy, like. And so then like people started to really lose faith in Robinhood at that point. So I ended up leaving the platform altogether, and actually I think I have to reopen an account. But now that Robinhood has gone through the growing pains that they have, and I've seen what they've done, and they've done so much. They've evolved as a crypto wallet instead of just being a platform, a central exchange. So I actually really like them now. But it's been a hot cold relationship.
Oh,
So,
bless.
but
Okay.
yeah, that was 2021 in a nutshell for me.
So I can see you got into meme coins and you also got into NFTs.
hmm
When did that transition made? So did you ever was the first purchase Bitcoin and then you got into these other altcoins, etc., and these other products?
Yes. So my first purchase was a fraction of Bitcoin, a small percentage of Bitcoin. But then as I sat there and my money sat there, I started to go, well, this Dogecoin
Yeah.
is really moving. I should probably put this little bit of money in that instead. And so it's really been learning what blockchains I have the most faith in,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of doubling down on how I approach those investments on each blockchain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I understand obviously you round trip some of your bags, which is
hmm
completely normal. A lot of people round tripped 2021 because
hmm
they were expecting a super cycle, but also it was your first bull run, so it was a
Right.
massive learning curve. How were
Yeah.
you learning throughout the year?
Discord. I'm making friends online. And my first bull run, the euphoria was there. It was easy to make money. And then you're on, somewhere like Twitter, and you don't know who is genuine, who is, honest, who's going to lead you astray. And so you can kind of be on the timeline and you're just taking in all this noise, and it's hard to see uh sometimes through all the noise what's real, because projects founders can put a lot of money into marketing, and they can market something that's just going straight to zero. And if you get enough people to tweet about something, someone who's new is just going to see this, oh, this is the new
Mhm.
hot thing, with zero knowledge of who the team is behind it or what's actually being developed. And so yeah, it's blissfully unaware of the first bull run.
Yes. Okay. So we have 2021 there.
Mhm,
Let's talk about 2022. So
mhm,
obviously you got in the halving year. You've
mhm,
just had your first bull run. You did amazingly well.
mhm,
A trade that got you to over 12K. That's
mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
You did round trip some of your bags. 2022 came along. So
Mhm,
after November 2021, when we hit the all-time high of
mhm,
69,000 US dollars, we
mhm,
slid down into a bear market, which we were in
mhm,
for about 12 months.
mhm,
Now, in a bear market, a lot of projects do go to zero because
mhm,
they're probably not fundamentally strong. But even some projects who seem fundamentally strong can go to
mhm,
zero overnight. And a lot of people are caught out. And that's a black swan event. We had lots of things. We had Luna, FTX, Celsius, 3 Hours
mhm,
Capital, Voyager. It was a minefield. Um,
mhm.
Tell me, what was your experience of 2022? And did you, sorry, before we do that, when did you realize we'd slid into a bear market?
Mhm.
And what was your
Um, yeah.
experience?
Yeah, it probably took me longer to realize we were in a bear market than it should have. And I was ignorant to how long it was going to last. So, and then or the bull run would last. So then as we entered the bear market and I saw things going down, I did set some stop losses. Now, stop loss seems crazy in a bull market, but I had got in on Cardano at $3 and rode that up to like 325, I think it went to. I can't remember what the all-time high was. But I had saw that starting to retrace. And as I saw it retracing and I started to feel the bull market was over and we were in a bear, I think that's when I said, okay, I need to set a stop loss here. And I set the stop loss at 275. So that was actually going to be like a 25, well, not really 25%, but a little bit of a loss there. And so I took that loss on Cardano, and I remember feeling bad about taking the loss at the time. Now, when I look at it from the position I sit in today, and the price of Cardano is at 58 cents, I'm like, that was one of the best trades I ever made, was that stop loss. And I talk about it all the time because it's the first time I really feel like I could have not set that stop loss and rode that all the way down to 58 cents from $3. That is painful. That is absolutely painful. And so to know that I now am back in Cardano at 33 cents, we're at 58. I feel so vindicated because I have a lot of faith in the blockchain. I know it's going to go back above $3 this cycle. They've worked on a ton of stuff. They get a lot of heat for what they're developing on their blockchain, but it's just they're incredible. What they build is incredible. Some of the brightest minds in crypto build on Cardano, and just because the volume isn't there, or the attention isn't there, or people just want to hate on Cardano for whatever reason, to me, the gamification, it's one of the best built out blockchains there is. It's just the price doesn't reflect it, and they're not going to stop. So yeah, I'll always love my Cardano.
I mean, Cardano is absolutely awful with its marketing and hype. However, it is the most academically robust blockchain that there is.
Yes.
I do like Cardano. I think it's going to be around for a very, very long time.
And so I have to tell you, I really, in all of this, like, I feel like my older brother, he's like my guardian angel and everything that I do in crypto for me, because, you know, my mom started watching Charles Hoskinson's live streams well before. I mean, this is like in 2019, she's watching his live streams. I get into crypto. I start working with an NFT project. I got to meet Charles Hoskinson. I got to fly out and go to a conference that was put on by him. I've seen him speak multiple times. I've had, personal conversations with him. I can't help but feel like, this is where I'm supposed to be in terms of like, I've got a guardian angel watching me, because it's just surreal that like you can take something that is just a passion or an idea and do so much with it. So.
Awesome. Okay. So, November 2022, the bear market bottom we hit, where we went to around about 15,000 US dollars. Were you aware it was the bear market bottom?
After we hit the bottom, I think we kind of went like sideways a little bit. And I think as we started to trend sideways along the bottom, I was like, yeah, this can't, I don't think it's going any lower. But again, it was kind of like the end of the bull market. It took me probably 3 weeks to realize, oh my gosh, the bull market's over. And probably 3 weeks of sitting at the bottom that, oh, okay, this is probably the bottom. And those are 3 weeks where if I can reduce that time, I'll do much better this next cycle, because those 3 weeks really mean a lot.
No, they do. So after we hit the bear market bottom in 2022, we started the recovery year. Now, this is a bit of a boring year. Not very much happens in the recovery year. What was 2023 like for you?
So 23, I had found a friend, really started to develop a core group of friends that worked in crypto, and they were all at Gokhstein Media. And I knew David Gokhstein from Twitter Spaces when I first got into crypto. I'd been following him, early 2019, 2020, probably 2020. Once I first started my Twitter account, I think I found him. And so I had been following him pretty much the whole time. But and kind of hung out in spaces, but just kind of floated around. But after I met someone who was at Gokhstein Media and doing spaces, that was the first time I actually gave someone in crypto my phone number. And I'm like, okay, we're like in real life friends now. We're texting, we're calling each other. And he's like, you're really passionate. You know a lot. Like, I was telling him certain plays and he would go in and he's like, look, you've got alpha. You know what you're doing. You need to do something with this. And that was when I started to kind of have an idea of like, okay, I think I want to do, maybe do a shift into like content creation. Before then, it was just strictly working with NFT projects, being like, rah, rally the troops. And, now I'm like, I think I want to do something where it's a little more broad and I can do what I want. And I'm not like tied to one project the whole time. And so with content creation, I kind of saw that. But yeah, I kind of developed a core group of friends at Gokhstein Media. And towards the end of 23, I started to negotiate working with them. And by 23, I had signed, by the December of 23, signed the contract. And like, I think it was like the last day before the new year, they announced it on their X page. So I was like super proud. I was like, oh my gosh, I made it.
That's like so exciting. How did that feel being a female and knowing that you're going to put your face out there in a very male dominated space? Were you concerned at all?
I think I knew that I would get like messages. But and at first I was really responsive to anybody who would send me a message. But now I kind of like preview and I'll go through and see like what is the intent of this message. And I won't engage people that seem like they're being weird. For lack of a better term. But, I've always been doxxed in this space. I've always used, this is my name. And, and so it does make me, I feel like I do have to be a little guarded at times, but at the same time, I'm kind of in a rural area. People have to go out of their way to come and find me. And I don't think I'm really ruffling any feathers. And I don't think guys are fawning over me enough to come find me. So at least not yet.
How did your family feel with you wanting to be a content creator for cryptocurrency? Because in 2023, it was still sort of seen as a very fishy sort of area to be in.
Yeah. It's, I still have people that kind of raise their eyebrows a little bit, but I think with all of the publicity now, it's getting different reaction. But yeah, I mean, my kids, they love it. They think it's so cool that mom is doing content creation stuff. It's inspired them to do more content creation stuff. Like both of my kids are using CapCut and making videos. My daughter has her own YouTube channel. She does these little skits with toys. And she's up to like over 100 subscribers already. So I'm like, good for you. So, it's just things are so different now. And I think I just had to view what is happening as a whole with society, and people are moving away from legacy media. They're consuming more on their phone and their tablets and their devices. And so with that, I think, content, it opens the door for content creators to be able to have more of a platform than ever. And especially now with crypto being at the forefront, it's like, I knew I needed the time to put in to build myself to be able to have the platform for the next bull run. And so I kind of more or less spent like the last couple of years just, building a brand, building a name for myself, making sure people knew who I was. So yeah, it's been fun.
Okay, so let's talk about 2024 now. So a lot of things obviously happened in 2024. You had your content creation side and obviously your own personal crypto journey.
Mhm.
So 2024, I think the lows were something like 38,000 US dollars. 2024 was a halving year. We did actually
Mhm.
make an all-time high before the halving at 108.
Mhm.
No, the all-time high I think was 108 US
Yes.
dollars for last year. We had the ETFs,
Mhm.
which we thought would get years and years ago. So when they finally came around, everybody's like, "Oh my God, we've actually got ETFs now." We had. It was very amusing in the summer of 2024 when Germany decided to sell its 50,000 Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Um, oh my God, they must be regretting that now. Um, we had President Trump. One of the policies that he ran on was cryptocurrency. He obviously became president. We had our first president who endorsed cryptocurrency. A lot of legitimacy was added to the space. We had
Mhm.
talks of the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, which has now come into play. A lot of things happened last year. Tell me about it first on your personal side before we go back onto the content creation side
Mhm.
of it. What was 2024 like for you?
2024 was an incredible year all the way around. Like I from the start of the year to the end. Once I signed on with G Media and I realized like it was going to open up this whole world of crypto for me, and being able to go to conferences and have these discussions, meet people I would have never had the chance to meet. So I tried to make the most of it. So, uh, starting early in 2023, it kind of mapped out more or less, the conferences that were doable for me to attend. And then I found a podcast studio in Los Angeles, and started going down there every Thursday and met a ton of people through that podcast studio. Spoke on stage, represented Cardano whenever we had the Nike the pig meme that ran. And so I went and kind of battled it out, Solana versus Cardano people at the podcast studio there. But was able to attend, I think I went to 6 or 7 conferences last year. It was completely exhausting, but because it opened so many doors, I just had to keep going. I ended up meeting people through Karate Combat, and that allowed us to do a media desk through Karate Combat. And so the first desk, it was kind of like figuring it out. And we had like a table back with the AV crew, was kind of running production for Karate Combat. But then when they saw what we were doing for the next Karate Combat, they saw me, they knew what we were doing. They were all about it. They, whatever you need. And so each Karate Combat, we were building out our media desk bigger and bigger. By the last one, we had lights in our own area and all these chairs, and we had our microphone stands. I mean, just the way we had the whole setup with the lighting and the audio mixers, and cutting in between the fight and then us bringing in the fighters to interview. Like, I would have never imagined that, like, I'm at Karate Combat. Joe Rogan was there. Like, I would have never guessed that, like, crypto would have taken me down that rabbit
Mhm.
hole. But it ended up being one of my biggest passions projects last year. And then definitely the highlight was for me, was the Bitcoin conference. Being there, just seeing Cynthia Loomis introduce the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. I had no idea it was going to be such a historic moment, but every time I see those clips played on TV, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was there for that. Like, only because of crypto and Guxty Media. Like, they're the ones that totally gave me the platform. I don't think that they take a lot of chances on people that don't have a platform already. So I feel super fortunate that they just saw something in me and said, "Oh yeah, we believe in her." So shout outs to my G Media people. I love them.
Awesome. What goes into planning one of your podcasts?
So it's totally evolved. When it first started, I had, like I said, I had a producer. I originally was dubbed Degen Divas, and I had a girl who was working with me, Deb. And so it was me and Deb, and we would interview artists. And so we would kind of go around to LA. We interviewed Amber Vittoria. We interviewed Thank You X. We interviewed several different artists, and so I was heavily focused again on the NFT stuff because I just loved the art side. Like I just loved that
Mhm.
the whole artsy vibes. And so then that took me some cool places too because I never really saw myself going to like art curator events, and I went to a few of those, and that's a totally different crowd. Our NFT crowd is way different. But just to be able to kind of like see that whole side of it. So at first it was art focused, but then when NFTs were starting to die off, I'm like, okay, we need to pivot. And I needed to kind of shift the show a little bit. And so then I shifted more towards like focusing on like projects and founders, less on the art side,
Mhm.
and was doing
Mhm.
it solo. But that was around the time that I was still operating under the Degen Divas name. Probably up until like the middle of 23. And then I was like, okay, I just need to rebrand and do myself. Um, Along the way last year, I had interviewed Wendy O. Of course, I've talked with David Goxstein about being a content creator and being in crypto and what it takes to succeed. And pretty much everyone said the same thing: you need to show up and live stream every day. And I remember thinking like, oh, it's so hard. And I
Mhm.
like having a producer and I like how the edited videos feel. But they just weren't hitting the same. I wasn't getting as much exposure. I wasn't getting as many views as I think I could. Now I did have a viral clip. I did my Slum Doge Millionaire at NFT NYC got 15,000 views. That one went totally viral like 2 or 3 days after I posted it. Um, but anything else I've posted besides that has not done very well. I get like a couple hundred views. So, but since I've been doing the live streaming daily, my platform has grown much faster. So, but I still do miss doing the edited stuff
Mhm.
and having a producer, and it just looks so formal. And and maybe I'll get back to it again, but again it costs money to put a production on. And
Mhm.
and although this is, people I think underestimate how labor intensive live streaming can be, but to come up with a show, schedule the time, schedule figure out the questions you want to answer, make it a good engaging show. It's not that easy. It's not just as easy as flicking the camera on and rolling. So
Mhm. Mhm. So who helped you the most? Was it the production company last year?
um
Because you had a
I,
new set of you kind of had a new set of supporters, didn't you, once you got into podcasting and content
yes.
creating?
Yes. So my group definitely, although I've always been with Goxstein Media, my group has evolved in terms of like I did have my producer before. His name is Chris. He goes by Flyride. A lot of people in crypto know Chris. He's been producing forever. And he was great because he already had a relationship with some of the content creators like Wendy O. So when I wanted to interview with her in person, she didn't know me personally, but she knew my producer. So at least she kind of felt like, well, I don't know you, but I know the man you're with. So,
Mhm.
hey, cool, let's do it. And she was so wonderful. But he gave me a lot of tips on what streaming services to use, different editing techniques, different software to use. So I learned a lot off of him, that gave me more or less the tools to succeed. But yeah, him and I quit working together, I want to say our last, and it wasn't like it was like an intentional breakup. It was like he went to go do other things.
Mhm.
And that was probably in like August, September. And so, yeah. So then since then, I was like, okay, well, I need to either pivot and find like a new production crew, or I need to come up with a new plan of how the show's gonna be for the new year. And that was more or less when I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start live streaming, because there are a lot of people that I can access via live streaming, and meeting people in person, it can be difficult.
Mhm.
Logistics and things like that. So
Okay. So towards the end of last year, you started to live stream pretty much daily.
well, it was actually January 1st. I knew that I was
Mhm.
going to start, but I was like scared. So January
Yeah.
1st was, okay, this is my New Year's resolution every day. So
Um, what about work? Did you have to give up work? Because this seems quite labor intensive.
So no, I didn't have to, because I wasn't even working at that point. My daughter, with her illness, I
Mhm.
had ended up needing to be off of work to take care of her.
Mhm.
And so, but now I've actually interviewed for a job. I'm actually waiting for a call back on my second interview. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking to get back into working again, just because, I love working in crypto, but to have it be your sole source of income is hard. Um, and so, yeah, I'm like excited to get back to work before the start of this bull run, or the crazy side of this bull run, because a lot of people made money last year. A lot of people
Mhm.
made money last year. And that's why there's a lot of people saying, like, oh, top's already in. So a lot of people already made money. But yeah, we haven't hit that euphoria phase. And that's just a totally separate side of the cycle.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. No, I think we're following 2017 rather
mhm.
than the 2021 bull cycle. Oh
Right.
my God, you had so many things happen last year. That's so
So
exciting.
crazy.
It's
It
like
was so crazy.
it feels like it was like literally like one of the best years in your life. The way that you're talking about it as well is
Oh,
amazing.
like, I don't think I realized. I mean, I think I did realize at the time, because there were so many moments where I was like, I can't believe I'm here, or I can't believe I'm meeting with this person, or yeah, because after NFT NYC, after there were a couple of conferences I went to and got under my belt. And then that was when Leslie got the call. Leslie is our COO of Goxty Media. She got the call from Input Output, which is Cardano. That Charles Hoskinson was having that conference in Texas. And so that was very specific. Like, I had zero plans to go to McKinney, Texas. But if Charles calls and invites you, you show up. And
Oh my
so I'm
gosh,
like, oh
what
my
an
gosh,
honor.
hopped a plane, got out there. And then it ended up being one of the most amazing trips, because after that, David and Charles ended up coming to an agreement to live stream together every other Thursday. And they're still doing that to this day. So that was a year ago in May. So it's great to see. They have such a unique friendship. David Gochstein and Charles Hoskinson are polar
Mhm.
opposites, but they have such a great chemistry together. And so
Mhm.
I'll get in the comments, and I'll, like, on their live stream, I'm like, oh, there's my boyfriend. I like to tease him.
Oh, okay. Can I just ask? This might be
Yes.
inappropriate. Is he your actual boyfriend?
No, he's not my
Oh,
actual
okay.
boyfriend.
Oh, I just had to say. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
my mom wishes.
okay, let's talk about 2025 now. So 2024 was a halving year.
Mhm.
So going off the 4-year cycle, 2025 is naturally meant to be the year that we have the parabolic bull run.
Mhm.
We have that mania phase. The prices increase so much,
Mhm.
etc. So far, it has been somewhat of a disappointment. You know, we've been preparing a good couple of years for this. We haven't really seen it too much. Although Bitcoin itself is doing amazingly well, the altcoins
Mhm.
are not quite there.
Mhm.
What has 2025 been like for you so far?
It's been really good. I think in crypto, you have to be ready to adapt, and
Mm,
crypto is always changing. The what is hot this bull run will not be what is hot next bull run. It is, like, always evolving. Like, last time it was NFTs, this time it's meme coins. Although they're kind of similar, they are very different. And, altcoins, I think 2017 ICO era, like there were so many altcoins that were spinning. So you can look cycle over cycle and see that the trends are always changing. And so while I initially went into this bull run and I was looking at my NFTs going, this one's going to come back, that one's going to come back, I've pretty much assumed those are not coming back. I have completely pivoted. Those are there. If they pump, they pump, but that's not part of my game plan anymore. It has been focusing more on the meme coins, but structured like how they're on their layers. So for instance, on Bitcoin, I have Dog. They're both in sats. So Dog is being listed on Kraken on Friday. I have been waiting forever for a tier 1 exchange listing on this coin. The coin itself is down still about 50% from all-time high. So it's an excellent entry. But why I love this coin, and I don't stop talking about it, is because if you are on Xverse and you're buying this on Magic Eden under the Runes tab, then you are buying a sat. It is a Satoshi. So when you sell it, it sells for Bitcoin. So if you want to buy Dog, if you want to find a way to print free Bitcoin, you can buy in you're going to double your money just to get back to where it was at all-time high. And we're pretty much like headed back up that way. We were just under a penny. We have not touched a penny on Dog, but once it goes past a penny, it's going to go into price discovery. So that is one of my big, I'm really onto that one this cycle. And then I have some ETH plays. So I've got Pepe, I've got SPX, those I'm looking at when I sell those are going to become my layer 1 of ETH. And so now I have like ideas of what I want for each of these chains. Cardano, I have some meme coins on Cardano. I don't have as much on the Cardano chain. But I still think it's going to have a very, very successful run this cycle. I keep the wallet. I keep my NFTs. I keep the meme coins because I think we can't underestimate the meme coin super cycle. We've been saying that for so long. And I do think altcoins will do well. But if we can look at what the history of the last year has shown us, it's been meme coins. And so if your altcoin is ETH or Cardano or Solana, then you should want to have some meme coins under that with an exit strategy because that's going to become your altcoin that's also going to go up this cycle. So, but again, with these meme coins, and I can't stress this enough, like my Dogecoin play, if you didn't sell Dogecoin by the time it was on Saturday Night Live, you missed your exit. If you haven't watched, this is not financial advice, Slumdoge Millionaire, he has a documentary. It's on YouTube. I think it might be free now. I paid $4.99 for it. It is an excellent, excellent movie. And it's a documentary following him in real time with his Dogecoin. He had $3 million and missed the exit. And so it's just crazy to me that like I didn't miss the exit, but he missed the exit. So for me, I feel such euphoria over this thing that he's just like trying to get back to there. And so, but that Dogecoin peak was not Bitcoin's peak. And that's what you have to remember with meme coins. SPX is going to have a different all-time high than Bitcoin. Pepe will have a different all-time high than Bitcoin and SPX. So you have to kind of know where you're going to exit certain things and then know, okay, you can leave a moon bag, but just know your altcoin or whatever you're going to do, you want to have it easy to either put into stable coins if you're ready to stable up at the end of the bull market, because nobody wants to write it back to zero.
No. And it will be your second bull run as well. So you've learned a lot. You've got a lot of experience, and you've got a lot of people around you, a lot of intelligent people who are there to help you, your channel. And you've done amazingly so far as well.
Thank you.
On your yourself as well. Just looking at what does your mom now think? What do people now think? Do you ever get recognized in the street?
No, not here, not yet. I did when I go to a crypto convention, I will have people I don't know come up to me. And that makes me, I'm actually going to shout out Claudio, because Claudio came up to me and he made me so happy. He's like, he comes up to me and he tells me, oh, I watch your show. And I'm like, what's your name? Like, I want to know if you come up to me. I love when people come up to me, but I want to know what your name is, because then I'm like, I want to know. So when I interact online, I'm like, now I know your face. I know you as a person. Because they see you and they know you, but you don't know them the same way they know you. And so when somebody recognized me, they've been watching my content, and there's people that, I watch your content all the time. They don't comment. They don't ever like
Yes,
or
I know.
retweet. And it's so bizarre to me, but I'm so thankful. Like, you don't have to interact with my content, but just telling me like, hey, I'm there, I'm watching. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm gonna hug you, come over here, take a picture with me. Like, I'm fangirling over them. So yeah, I love it.
So you went to the Bitcoin conference as
Mhm.
well, because we were meant to meet there, weren't we? What was that
Yes.
like? I couldn't go.
I'm so
They didn't give me a
sad you weren't
visa.
there.
I
My
know.
I really wish you could have been there. If you are going to make it to any conference this year, you need to let me know so we can plan to hang out. Um, at first, I felt when I went to these conferences, I needed to go to all the events, meet as many people as I could, put myself out there. Um, I've been to so many now that my approach has totally changed, and I'm
Mm,
less about the after hours stuff and things like that. It's more my last few conferences, I'm there making content by myself. I have
yeah.
like my little tripod, my microphones. I'll find myself a good spot. I set up in the media station. Like, I'm like a one man show now. And so it's great because, I have so much flexibility in being able to like not be limited to the production, or I can kind of pick and choose. As if I'm on the fly, I see somebody I know, hey, let's do a quick interview. In fact, Metaplanet, Simon Jarovich, he is buying all that Bitcoin. He's like the Michael Saylor of Japan.
Mhm,
I'm like,
mhm.
he's standing right there. I'm like waiting in line. I've got all of my equipment and my microphones, and I stand there, I hand him a microphone. I have like this it looks like such a professional interview. And I'm like, you would have had no idea that I would just like happen to do this on the fly. And so, but yeah, so my approach this time was more hanging out with the people I wanted to hang out with to make more meaningful connections, rather than so many short interactions, because
Mhm.
I'm usually this short interaction, this short interaction, this short interaction, and you get tired and you never get beyond the surface level. And so my approach this time is just going to work on building and deepening the relationships and friendships that I have in this space, and relying on that, because they're my people. They're the people that show up for me. So why wouldn't I foster that more? And so, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
super happy with that approach. But you need to get out here. So, Rare Evo's in August, if they'll let you in.
I don't know. I applied for my visa to go to America again, and it got rejected. So I don't know.
Again?
I think you guys, yeah, I think you guys have like,
I get, yeah, we've got weird stuff going on here right now.
well, you guys obviously have amazing control of your borders because you won't even let us Brits in.
I know we're not
Um,
letting anybody in right now.
and then
It's
some of the people who follow me, they're from Canada, and they're not letting us in either. So I don't know who you're letting in or who
it's
you're complaining about.
it's crazy. I mean, there's, not to get into politics, but it's I'm happy we're not just letting anybody in, but we need to be letting in the people that should be here, that help make this a great prosperous place, and you're really, are you harmful? Come on.
Oh my god, I'm like such a scaredy cat. Like seriously. Okay. So that's 2025. You've got your podcast. You've got you've got your content creating every single day, which
Mhm.
obviously is taking a lot of time, a lot of effort. You're doing a really amazingly well. Your viewership's up. You're going to conferences. I mean, can life get any better? I don't know. What are your goals for the rest of the year?
Wow, this year. I really don't have a ton of goals for the rest of this year. I've got a couple conferences to finish it out. It's more just continuing to build the platform. Like I said, the live streaming every day was my New Year's resolution. I have kind of tapered it back a little bit just because like I was really starting to feel a little burnt out by doing it every day. And so taking little breaks has been kind of good. Like I've noticed if I take a weekend off, I can come back Monday and feel refreshed. But if I'm doing it every day, like I have to have something really exciting to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just like, here we go. And I don't want to be here just going through the motions because I have to. Like I want to show up with the charisma and the passion and the things that make people excited to be in this space because there's nothing more boring than finance people that are not excited about life.
Oh my god, oh my god. So just very quickly, I want to finish off on this note. Obviously being a female in a male dominated space and being as successful as you are, how have you found that you've been received by both males and females in this space?
I'm not gonna lie. There are people who have cheered for me from day one. And then there are people who I expected to cheer for me from day one that never cheered. And then as I have continued, it's almost like I was the squeaky wheel and now I'm getting the grease. You know what I mean? And so it's like, just and it just proved to me that you have to just keep showing up, which is what everybody has said. Just keep showing up because you will, if you stop, you're going to let it fall to the wayside and then you'll look back and you're like, well, why did I ever stop? And to just keep going, you never know what the next phase or next level up is going to look like. And usually when you start to feel like really worn down, you're just on the other side of a breakthrough. And so you just have to keep pushing through and remember why you started. So yeah, the rest of this year, I just, I don't know. I hope we all make a lot of money.
Mhm, mhm. Julie, it was absolutely amazing. It was an absolute honor having you on my show today. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your crypto story with us.
Thank you so much. It was a delight.